Hey there, Starwriters, and welcome back to Sincerely Yours, where every chapter is a new adventure. Grab your pen because today we're jotting down some theories.
Welcome to Game Theory.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wrong channel. Wrong channel. I'm sorry. But seriously, our theory today is all about Dispatch, the brand new decision choice game from AdHoc Studio. We're predicting and answering some of the biggest questions this story's thrown at our way. So let's mic up and get started because I've been connecting dots that probably shouldn't even exist, but here we are. Before we jump into theories, let's catch everyone up if you have been living under a rock and haven't been keeping up with the gaming community in the past few weeks. Dispatch is a narrative driven choice game where you play as Robert, a former superhero who's now working as a dispatcher for a group of reformed villains. Yeah, you heard that right. A once hero, now coordinating missions for the people he used to fight. Game is developed by a studio called AdHoc Studio, which is the same creative minds behind story-focused titles like The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us. So you already know we're in for emotional damage and moral chaos. But over the course of the first four episodes, we've met a cast of fantastic, questionable, and possibly untrustworthy characters like Blonde Blazer, Invisigal, Flambé, Chase, aka Trackstar, Waterboy, Shroud, Prism, Gollum, Malevola, Punch Up, Sonar, Coupe. The list goes on. Throughout the game, your choices shape relationships, reveal secrets, and potentially expose who might betray you in the end. Now, before I dive into these theories, quick disclaimer. These are all based on what we've seen so far in the first four episodes. I repeat, my theories that I came up with are based on the first four episodes. This means that things might change as new episodes drop, so bear with me in the comments if future me ends up being totally wrong. Anyways, now that the disclaimer out the way, let's get started with the theories because they're about to be hot. So I say let's start off light with the very first one, which is Waterboy is not who he appears to be. All right, Star Riders, let's start off with something light, but don't let that fool you. My first theory is that Waterboy is not who he appears to be. Now, I don't have any hard evidence to back up my theory, but my gut is screaming at me that Waterboy is going to betray us by the end of this whole dispatch game. Because Waterboy gives off that kind of character that you don't side eye until it's too late. And I got two reasons on why I'm saying this. One thing I learned from Scooby Doo is this: it's always the people you know who end up giving you the hardest time or screwing you over entirely.
Well, there they are, Sheriff. Mr. Creeps and his partner, Mr. Crawls.
They were trying to scare all the heirs off the island.
Then no one would spend the night, and they would keep control of the fortune.
First, Creeps pretended to be the Phantom and made it seem like the house was haunted.
The cousins were scared away fast. Then they put dummies that looked just like them in the coffins.
Bah! But that plan backfired.
So did painting themselves like green ghosts.
Well, where they're going, Creeps and Crawls could use a good lawyer.
And between episodes one and two of Dispatch, Robert is cordial with two people, which is Blonde Blazer and Waterboy. Now, I'm not shading Blonde Blazer because I don't think she has any malice intent towards Robert. And honestly, in my deepest of hearts, I don't want to believe Waterboy has any ill intent either. But let's talk about his whole appearance for a second. Waterboy's tall, lanky, stutters, and constantly looks like a wet latex glove fresh out the sink. Like, sir, you're a water-based hero. Why can't you absorb the water leaking out of you? And let's talk about his dispatch photo because Waterboy looks like a scared little elementary school kid that please don't bully me face makes you want to be protective over him and also lower your guard around him. And that's exactly why I'm suspicious of Waterboy. And now I know, speaking of looks, looks can be deceiving. We all heard that saying. And one of the best examples of this is from Scary Movie. And the 2000 kids, you know where I'm going with this when I say this. And if you had never seen Scary Movie is a parody of all the hottest horror films of the time. And in it, the goofy character Doofy, which is a parody of Scream's deputy Dewey, turns out to be the killer the whole time. No one suspected Dewey because he acted slow, childish, and harmless throughout the movie, and he played dumb on purpose so nobody would think twice about what he's doing.
It's me, Shin. Special Officer Doofy reporting.
Hey, Doofy, smell my fingers.
What's that?
That's when you know you become a man, Doofy.
Hey, Terry. Smell my finger.
Ah, what the hell is that?
My ass.
Get the hell out of here, Doofy.
Doesn't that sound a little familiar? Because Waterboy, he stutters, he second guesses himself, and he uses his power in this awkward way, like literally throwing up or spitting up water. Man, for real. Instead of shooting it out from his hands like every other hero does. That is so nasty. He can't project that out of his hand. Because if we take, for an example, Flambé uses his hands to control fire. Why can't Waterboy do the same with water? You're telling me this man in his late teens, early 20s, and he hasn't learned to use his powers or use his hands to project his water ability. It's either that or he's pretending. I don't know which one. But what if Waterboy purposely acts clumsy, like throwing up water to make people uncomfortable around him? That sounds like a classic Doofy move, if you ask me. And speaking of looks, maybe he's lanky because he drained his body's own water levels to keep that frail, innocent image. Like, fun fact, humans are made about 60% of water. So maybe he just said, you know what? I'm gonna lose this weight and this suspicion off me. And let's talk about the break room incident when Waterboy accidentally threw away Flambé's lunch.
Now, sorry for interrupting your meeting with Invisigal.
Oh, god damn it. You threw my noodles away? My initials were literally on the box and everything. Fuck!
I don't read things. Sometimes it's different, like a logo, but it's probably still good.
I don't want the fucking trash noodles. Wet fart boy.
Now, Flambé clearly wrote his name on his food, and Waterboy could have avoided all that drama, but he didn't. And when Flambé started wilding out, Waterboy just stood there and took it. In my honest opinion, that's suspicious because we all know fire and water cancel each other out. So why didn't Waterboy at least try to defend himself? Because keep in mind, when this incident happened, Robert was in the room with them. So, since Robert was in the room, maybe Waterboy wanted Robert to see him as his helpless kid. He's harmless, innocent, someone who couldn't possibly be dangerous or be dangerous enough to stand up for themselves. I don't know. Either way, it's a smart move if you ask me. And when you think about it, here's where it gets wild. Because why would Blonde Blazer pair Waterboy, the sweetest and most awkward rookie, with Team Z? Keep in mind, Team Z is a group of reformed villains.
WaterBoy is here to help.
Sup?
Excuse me?
Ain't no way.
He may be new to this, but Robert and I believe he will make a great addition to the team.
This is bullshit. Good morning, Evie. Hello.
This is a
Aw.
joke, right?
I don't. Wait. Maybe. Is it a joke?
Nope, WaterBoy, it's not a joke.
Oh. Cool, Leo.
Wouldn't it make more sense to put him with established heroes like Sweet Talker, Pom Pom, or Brain Book, people who could actually mentor Waterboy? Instead, he's placed right next to Robert, the ex-hero Mecha Man himself. Blonde Blazer even said that Waterboy looks up to him.
Let's go with it. I'll let him know. He really looks up to you.
Does he look up to me, or wait?
Which sounds sweet until you realize it could possibly be a setup. Because if Waterboy looks up to Robert, maybe it's because he's watching him, keeping tabs, or, grabbing intel. And this one's the cherry on top. When Waterboy and Robert first talk, Waterboy already knows who he is, which is Mecha Man.
Does he know I'm Mecha Man?
Yeah, but he said he won't tell anyone.
I guess that's good.
I'll let him know. You'll see him in the roster for your next dispatch.
How? Robert didn't tell him. Flambé didn't tell him. And the only two people that knows who Robert's hero identity is Chase and Invisigal. So either Waterboy overheard something he shouldn't have, or someone told him on purpose. And another thing that could possibly debunk this theory, or my reason for this sub theory, I guess you can call it, is maybe because since Robert and Waterboy has spoke in the lobby of the SDN headquarters, Waterboy could have easily remembered his voice despite him not having the suit on. So either way, coincidence? I don't think so. Either way. So yeah, call it intuition, call it cosmic sense, but I think Waterboy is playing the long game. Innocent Max hiding something much darker. And until the next few episodes prove me wrong, I'll keep in one eye on that puddle boy. Now, let's move on to our next theory. Alrighty, Starwriters. The next theory is short, but a theory is still a theory, okay? So, my second theory is that Invisigal and Blonde Blazer are close friends. Like, not just co-workers, but girl, I'm coming over with wine and some workplace gossip for friends. So, when Blonde Blazer takes Robert out to the bar and she's slightly tipsy, she calls Invisigal, which we don't know her as Invisigal, but she called her Vizzy.
A little buzzed. I don't really make jokes like that. I think Vizzy's rubbing off on me.
Who?
Someone I work with. It's... yeah.
Now tell me that doesn't sound like a nickname you give someone you're tight with. Vizzy. Come on now. Vizzy isn't a professional name. That's a nickname with history behind it. That's giving bestie kind of behavior, you know? And then later, when we officially meet Invisigal, she's wearing Blonde Blazer's earrings.
What it was.
Robert, this is Invisigal. She is part of the Phoenix program. We take former supervillains, such as herself, and rehabilitate them to re-enter society to use their powers for... Are those my earrings?
Well, they look better on me.
Now, that could mean two things. Either she borrowed them from her boss's office, or she was at her house. Either way, that's not giving strictly work friends energy. That's giving, we had a slumber party at Blonde Blazer house, and then, since I saw her earrings, I thought they would look good on me, so I tried them on kind of energy. And here's the biggest red flag. Blonde Blazer straight up shows favoritism toward Invisigal. Because remember when she told Team Z that someone might be let go? Well, during her meeting with Robert, she immediately says it won't be Invisigal. Even though Invisigal at the time was at the bottom of the hero board, she said she wasn't going to let her go regardless. Like, ma'am, be so for real right now. Why protect Invisigal so hard?
Supposed to play favorites here, but even if she was on the bottom, I'm not sure I'd have let you cut her.
Now, based on everything we've seen so far, this friendship may seem one-sided because Invisigal never mentions Blonde Blazer, never refers to her, and doesn't even throw her name out when she could have used it for backup. Like, for an example, when Robert called her a selfish asshole, she could have clapped back with, like, at least one person doesn't think that way of me. And she could have been referring to Blonde Blazer, but she didn't.
Keep you from being a selfish fucking asshole.
Oh.
Feel bad. Good. Fuck you.
Why this sounds so glitchy? So maybe Blonde Blazer's friendship toward Invisigal is more protective than mutual, which we don't know, and I can't speculate what it is. Within the 4 episodes, there wasn't, a lot of interactions between them besides that moment in I guess you could say, in the empty meeting room. But either way, something about their connection seemed off. Like there's a personal history there we're not being told. So let's get on to my next theory. All right, Star Riders. Speaking of Invisigal, let's talk about her for a second. When I mean second, let's talk about her for a minute. Because my third theory is, could Invisigal have worked with or still be working with Shroud in secret? Now, I don't have solid proof of this yet either, but I feel like the clues are there and they're adding up faster than Robert's emotional damage. So let's roll it back to the mission where we had to fight the villainous thief that which we learned to be lightning struck at Granny's donut shop. When Lightning Struck first sees Invisigal, he calls her by her villain name, Invisibitch.
Bitch.
Now, that's not something you just pull out of thin air. That means Lightning Struck either knows her or at least knows of her from her villain days. But here's the weird part. Invisigal doesn't call him by name. Like, it's like she pretending that she don't recognize him or she generally don't know who he is. I don't know. But I've noticed that, and girl, that's a red flag. Now, this might sound crazy, but I think Lightning Struck could be tied to Shroud. Here's why. Both Lightning Struck and Toxic have those same glowing red marks. Toxic's are on his neck.
You're pretty easy to talk to, but the only breakthrough I need right now is the location of Shroud.
I'm not telling you shit, you fucking loser!
See, this is more like how
Okay, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Lightning Struck are on his arms for obvious reasons. And with the same markings as that guy that can turn toxic. All these people into duck. And both glow that eerie red crimson hue color. Like, coincidence? I don't think so. And that detail feels deliberate, like Shroud's marking or branding system for people under his control. So if Lightning Struck is part of Shroud's network and he knows Invisigal by name, then that might mean Invisigal has ties to that same operation. And here's the biggest thing that threw me off. When Blonde Blazer introduces Visigal, she says that Invisigal turned herself in.
Invisigal, who you met, turned herself in a few months ago and entered the program on the condition we didn't ask questions.
Just walked right into the SDN building and volunteered for the Phoenix program. No struggle, no chase, no fight, nothing. She just surrendered. But when Robert asks why, Blonde Blazer says Invisigal told them not to ask her about it. Now, be real.
That's a little suspicious, no?
Suspicious? Really? Of a criminal that turns invisible and doesn't like to answer questions? What tipped you off, Sherlock?
When a former villain says, "Don't ask why I'm here," that's when you ask exactly why they're here. So why didn't they? Why did everyone just accept that answer and move on? That's not how the SDN or a superhero interrogation works. Unless her joining was part of someone else's plan. Then we have Von Blazer again saying Invisigal is well respected among Team Z.
Even the other Z teamers respect her.
They're afraid of her.
And that's where I had to pause because respectfully, how? You got Malevola, a 6'6" demonic warrior who can open portals and swing a cursed blade straight out of Steven Universe. You got Coupe, a literal assassin, and Flambé who could barbecue you alive if he decides to, sneeze. But either way, Invisigal, whose whole power is just turning invisible. She's the most, well, in this case, well respected member of Team Z. Like, don't get me wrong, that's cool and all, but how does that power make her respected among a killer, a demon, and a walking fire hazard? Especially when Coupe and Sonar clearly side eye her when Robert mentions she climbed the hero rankings at the last minute.
I cheered for Invisigal.
You did. I saw that. That was cool of you.
I only did that because I thought she was being cut.
Oh, that makes sense. A lot of sense, actually.
No. What? Invisigal's. So she should be getting cut. She's on the bottom.
So again, how does someone with limited abilities suddenly earn that kind of respect? Maybe because she's connected to someone powerful or was powerful, like Shroud. Like, here's what I'm thinking. The other villains might know that Invisigal used to work with Shroud, or maybe they just suspected, which is why they don't mess with her. It could explain why she turned herself in so easily because it wasn't her idea, it was Shroud's. We already know Shroud uses people as pawns. Look at what he did with Toxic. Toxic was clearly a setup. Shroud sent Toxic out to bait Robert, blow up the Mecha Man suit, and steal the Astral Pulse in the explosion. which Robert couldn't recover it afterward, meaning that the plan worked. So if Shroud's willing to sacrifice one pawn, why not place another inside SDN? Like, Invisigal could easily be his eyes and ears inside the building. So now you might be asking, Ivy, how is it possible for Invisigal to be working with Shroud when she was already in the SDN building when Robert arrived? Easy timing. Robert was in a coma for months after the Mecha Man incident. That's plenty of time for Shroud to get one of his people embedded in the system. So when Robert woke up, Invisigal was already there, blending in, earning trust, and building her own cover story. And yes, that would also explain why she doesn't have the best reputation among dispatchers like Chase.
I still would have cut you.
Well, no one fucking asked you, old man.
Lucky fucking for you. That's why I would have cut them all. Started with that asshole.
They don't trust her because something is off. But what if that mistrust isn't just about her attitude? What if Chase and maybe possibly viewers felt like there's something bigger going on, something connected to the Phoenix program itself? And that Starwriters leads us straight to my next theory, a theory that ties together Invisigal, Blonde Blazer, and maybe even the very purpose of the Phoenix program. Okay, Starwriters, this might be one of my hottest takes in this video, but tell me why I'm starting to believe that Invisigal might be the reason the entire Phoenix program even exists. Now, before y'all call me crazy, hear me out, because this actually makes a lot of sense once you start connecting the dots. Think about it. Invisigal was probably the first villain to ever walk into the SDN headquarters willingly. No capture, no chase, no fight. She literally just showed up and said, "Hey, sign me up." That's not normal villain behavior. But maybe that moment is exactly what inspired Blonde Blazer to create the Phoenix program, a program built around the idea of giving villains a second chance to rise from their ashes. It's poetic, right? Phoenixes, rebirth, redemption. Invisigal could have been the spark that started it all. This could also explain why Blonde Blazer and Invisigal seem so close. If Invisigal was the first villain to join, Blonde Blazer probably took her under her wing, worked with her directly, and used her access to prove the program could work. So that favoritism everyone sees is not just bias, it's history. Blonde Blazer literally built the foundation of the Phoenix program around Invisigal's story. And it's why she always defends her. Because if Invisigal fails, the whole program's credibility goes down with her. Now, here's where it gets even deeper. Blonde Blazer makes it a big deal about Team Z's call success rate. And if you've been paying attention, that's strange. Because Team Z has always been known for their low success numbers.
I don't think the Z team has ever had a better shift than that.
We just might need to confront the fact that it might be the best they can do. Especially the way the granny thing went.
Yeah, now the granny situation, that wasn't ideal.
So why celebrate a few decent calls like it's a miracle? Because it is for a new experimental program that isn't supposed to be working yet. It's proof that her little redemption project is finally paying off. And guess who's right in the middle of that? Invisigal. If Invisigal was truly the first villain to enter the program and stay in it, that would absolutely earn her respect, even from people who don't like her. She became the example everyone else had to follow. That's why Blonde Blazer said the others respect her, not because she's the strongest, but maybe it's because she was there first. Probably was the face of the Phoenix program. The "it worked once, so maybe it'll work again" example. So yeah, Blonde Blazer's favoritism suddenly makes perfect sense now, if you put it in this perspective. She's not just protecting a friend, she's protecting the legacy of her entire project. Because if Invisigal messes up, everything Blonde Blazer built crumbles. And that connection, that mentor and prototype dynamic, might be why Blonde Blazer trusts Invisigal more than she should, especially if Invisigal isn't as innocent as she seems. So, yeah, Invisigal might not just be in the Phoenix program, she is the Phoenix program. And if that's true, Star Riders, then everything we've seen from Blonde Blazer's choices to Team Z's placement might have been part of a plan that started with one invisible girl and one very ambitious boss. Now, the question is, who's really benefiting from it?
bitch, my name's Robert, such a bitch whose name is Robert. I'm a bitch, I'm a bitch. I'm such a fucking bitch. I have no hopes, I have no dreams. And a tiny little thing, and it doesn't even function anyway. Because I never got its function, except for technique.
All right, let's roll it back to our favorite hothead, Flambé. This theory might sound wild, but hear me out. What if Flambé goes back to his villain ways once he finds out that Robert is actually Mecha Man? Let's start with their history. Robert and Flambé have 4 known interactions, 1 off-screen and 3 in the game. And none of them exactly scream buddy buddy. From what we know, the first off-screen interaction ended with Flambé getting arrested, which probably landed him in the Phoenix program at the SDN in the first place. So already there's some unfinished business between them. Then, depending on your player choices, the next 2 interactions show just how explosive that dynamic can be. In the bar scene, you can either throw water at Flambé, which knocks out his front tooth, or throw a glass of alcohol, which burns his eyebrows off. Either way, Robert didn't make a friend that night. Honestly, side note, why were Flambé, Coupe, and Punch Up all just casually hanging out at a hero bar together? That's not exactly the heroes and recovery energy the SDN is going for, but I digress. Then we've got that quick non-choice moment when Flambé walks into the SDN building while Robert is literally using WaterBoy as a human shield. And finally, there's the lunchroom incident. Flambé loses his temper when Waterboy supposedly accidentally throws away his food, and Robert once again has a choice to throw Blonde Blazer's lunch or a bottle of water. So let's tally this up. Robert has humiliated Flambé with and without the Mecha Man suit multiple times. So now that mask of enmity slips. Oh, it's over. Like totally over. And then Flambé finding out that Robert is Mecha Man, the guy responsible for his downfall, is basically a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. And honestly, this isn't far-fetched because AdHoc Studio loves their emotional betrayals. Let's not forget, this is the same group of people that gave us Lee's death in The Walking Dead. It left us spiraling over whether Faith in The Wolf Among Us actually died or if Narissa was glamored as her. The time for a heartbreak, they live for heartbreak and moral conflict. So yeah, I bet money that once Flambe learns the truth, he's not just going to get angry. He's going to sleep. And I feel like the writers are already laying the foundation for this in the episode 5 and 6 trailer. So Flambe's temper has been teased from the start. And once his pride takes that final hit, he's going to rally others against Robert. I can totally see Flambe turning Team Z against him with Punch Up, Malevola, and maybe even some of the other heroes like Prism, Gollum, Sonar, or Coupe, depending on your choices on who you keep looking the other way. And Invisigal, I feel like she could go either way depending on how your relationship with her plays out. So yeah, basically Flambe is the perfect catalyst for a whole lot of chaos in the upcoming episodes. He's passionate, unpredictable, and quick to burn everything down, literally and figuratively. So when that reveal hits that Robert is Mecha Man or was Mecha Man the whole time, let's just say it's about to get real hot in that SDN building. So yeah, keep your extinguishers ready, Starwriters, because if my theory's right, Flambe's redemption arc might be about to go up in flames. Now, on to the next theory. Alrighty, Starwriters. This is my final theory for today's video, and honestly, it might be the wildest one yet. I think Shroud knows way too much about the Mecha Man suit, and it's because he's the one who built it. And I'm not just saying the suit, but I'm talking about the Astral Post too. Let me explain. From the very first scene of Dispatch, we see just how precise Shroud's knowledge really is. When he's talking to Toxic, he tells Toxic he suspects the suit has about 28% left before shutting down. Now, when we cut to Robert inside the suit, we see it sitting at 52%. But the moment Toxic relays Shroud's message, the power level drops exactly to 28%. Coincidence? I don't think so. That's not guessing, that's insider knowledge. Shroud's not reading energy levels. It's like he's quoting his own blueprint of the suit. And still in that same scene, Shroud tells Toxic that Robert would probably channel the Astral Pulse to his feet to make an escape. And guess what happens next? Robert does exactly that. At first glance, you might think Shroud's just taunting him, but it's not even that. It's like Shroud's predicting Robert's move like he's a chess player who already knows the whole board layout. He didn't just anticipate Robert's move, he designed it. And that kind of foresight doesn't come from observation, it comes from experience. And later, we get a subtle but important clue from Roy's conversation with Robert.
Guess when you're building astropulses, there's not much time for talking to your son.
Not so sure about that.
I don't understand.
See, there's gearheads, then there's science nerds. One kind
Mhm.
garage, the other kind lab, you know. Your father one good gearhead, but I just can't see how he'll make something like the pulse. You know, science nerd.
How would you know this from talking to him once?
'Cause I'm both.
Roy says Robert's dad was a great gearhead, but not someone who will be able to create something as advanced as the Astropulse. So if Robert's dad didn't build it, then who did? You see where I'm getting at with this? Yeah. So if Shroud was the original creator of both the Mecha Man suit that Robert Dad used and the Astropulse, then everything he's done so far suddenly makes sense. He's not just after the pulse, he's trying to reclaim his work, maybe even improve it. I think Shroud's goal is to use the Astropulse to enhance villains, either by giving them super level power boosts or by rewriting their existing abilities entirely. And that theory lines up perfectly with what Toxic hints at during his second encounter with Robert about the possibility of altering power signatures or creating something new out of existing abilities. It's almost like Toxic was test driving Shroud's grand plan. So if Shroud really is the suit's creator, then Robert has been fighting a war with his maker this entire time. A man who knows every function, every weakness, every emergency override baked into that suit. And if Shroud already retrieved the astral pulse from the explosion, then the only question left is what or who is he building next? So yeah, Starwriters, if I'm right, Shroud isn't just the villain of this story, he is the architect of it. And that means everything Robert thought his dad built might actually belong to a man trying to destroy him. So grab your pens, Starwriters, because this story is far from over. Okay, Star Riders, I know I said that my last theory was going to be my final theory for this video, but I kind of had this like eureka moment, and this theory right here will be my last final theory for this video. And honestly, this theory, it hits me the hardest out of any of the theories that I presented earlier. And the format of this theory is, why did Shroud unalive Robert's dad? We know Shroud is smart enough to outthink the SDN, powerful enough to predict Mecha Man's moves, and connected enough to have people inside the system. So if he really did kill Robert's dad, there has to be a reason, and I think it goes deeper, much deeper than revenge. To me, this whole thing feels like a Captain America versus Iron Man Civil War situation. Not literally government registration, but the same kind of ideological divide. See, I think Shroud and Robert's dad used to be on the same side when it comes to protecting people when building the Astral Post and the Mecha Man suit. They both wanted to protect people, but they disagreed on how to do it. Maybe Shroud wanted to use the Astral Post as a way to monitor or control superpowered people, to regulate heroes and villains alike, keeping tabs on everyone for safety purposes. And Robert's dad, he probably saw that as a dangerous thing to do. Well, really, a violation to freedom, privacy, and human will. So much like Tony and Steve, these two clashed not because one was evil and the other was good, but because they both thought they were doing the right thing. Everything seems to circle back to the Astral Pulse. That mysterious energy source is clearly more than just a power cord, it's the heart of this conflict. I think the Astral Pulse holds some kind of deeper potential, maybe for weaponizing abilities, rewriting powers, or even reviving people. And that's why it became the central disagreement between Shroud and Robert's father. If Shroud truly believed he could use it to fix humanity, and Robert's father stood in his way, That could have sparked the moment that changed everything. Maybe that's why Shroud had to eliminate him, not out of hatred, but because Robert's dad was the only person who could stop him. And here's where it gets even heavier. If this divide between Shroud and Robert's dad was the breaking point, it might explain what happened to the Brave Brigade, the legendary hero team they were both a part of. Because so far, the only surviving member we've seen is Trackstar. Everyone else is gone, silent, or either split apart. I don't know. That kind of fallout doesn't happen over small disagreements. That sounds like betrayal, a fracture at the very core of what once held them together. So, yeah, Star Riders. I think Shroud and Robert's dad weren't just enemies. They were brothers in arms who turned on each other over what the Astropos could or should be. And maybe that's why Robert is still at the center of this, because the sins of the father always come back in the sequel. We'll have to wait for episodes 5 and 6 to know the full truth, but one thing's for sure, the past is about to catch up with everyone in these upcoming episodes. So strap in, Star Riders.